Photographing my eBay inventory on this inverted backdrop has been an absolute game changer for the speed of my business and my assembly line. If you want to know exactly how I built this thing, come along with us as I actually buy the materials and show you on camera which materials I'm using, as well as how we're actually going to put this thing together. The star of the show is going to be a 4x8 sheet of 1/2 inch plywood. Then I'm going to grab a 1x4x8. This is actually going to be a brace for how we're going to brace the back of the board as well as building the legs. Now I've seen some people only use one hinge. However, I'm grabbing 2 of the 6-inch hinges as well as 2 of the 4-inch hinges for more stability. Now, you don't necessarily need 100 of these things, but you are going to need a pack of 3/4 inch screws as well as 4 washers. Now most people make this next step super simple. They just cut the plywood directly in half, making for a 4x4. However, for me, as I'm doing bigger jackets, jeans, and things like that, I wanted to go a little bit bigger. Doing a 5x5 was the best decision I've ever made, and these are the cuts that you need to make that happen. First, you're going to cut 3 foot off the end of the board, turning it into a 5x4. Next step is with the 3x4 foot of cut off board, we're actually going to have to piece together the other foot. That way we can turn this 5x4 into a 5x5. And as you can see right here, we're using the 1x4x8 to actually piece together this thing to make it more stable in the back. Now I know it doesn't look the prettiest, but nobody's going to see this part. This is how the back looks, and I actually ran by Ollie's, which is the cheapest place that I found this carpet. It was $18.99 for a 5x7 sheet, and this stuff was actually even on sale. So when they say they have the good stuff cheap, I guess they weren't lying, at least not when it comes to their carpet game. I went around and checked at Lowe's, I checked at Michael's, as well as checking at Walmart, thinking that it would be cheaper. No, everybody else was literally triple the price of Ollie's, so obviously I went with that. So all you do is roll your carpet or your fabric out to the desired length and use your washers before you actually screw into the fabric to make it for a tighter hold. Now before we actually mount this thing to the wall, I took another piece of the 1x4x8, cut a 2-foot section, and actually screwed it into the main studs that we're going to hang it from. And right now we're actually just measuring where the main hinges are going to go on the back of the board, screwing those in first. And I'm actually about to get up under here as he lifts this whole board up. I'm going to be screwing the main screws through the hinges into my 1x4x2 that's already mounted across those studs. I reckon you can tell at this point, without having him here or somebody else to help me, I don't know how in the world I would have got this done. I could have maybe used the A-frame ladder, but that definitely would not have been OSHA approved. If you want to, you can actually just screw your hinges directly into your main studs. However, for me, I wanted to use a support board for a couple reasons. Number one being, I'm actually going to move this backdrop someday when I finish the walls in the back of the barn, as well as the fact when we actually add the legs on here, they also fold up underneath the backdrop when I'm not using it, and they also take up a little bit of room back there. So by the time you have the legs behind there as well as the support board, you're actually sitting about 1 inch off the wall, which is absolutely perfect.
Pick it up, say it's angled out with the legs, pick it up, pull the legs up, and let it fall.
So that was him explaining how the legs are going to work once they're hinged onto the bottom of the board. Now, as far as which length to cut your legs at, that's going to be solely dependent on you, how tall you are, and also which angle you want to actually take your pictures from. Now, we cut my legs at 37 inches a piece, and we also used the remaining piece of that 1x4x8 as a support board to go across. Right now, he's angling the board upward. That way I can get a smooth surface to actually screw the hinges into the back of the board. So once you get through attaching your hinges, your legs are actually just going to rest right there on the baseboard. And once you're done taking pictures, all you do is easily fold the legs back underneath. That way the backdrop is going to lay flush against the wall. A couple additions I made to the setup. I put a hook up here in that top stud. That way I could drop a piece of fishing line, and then that way I can actually use my hangers just like this right here to get better photographs. It also works just the same with standard hangers. I used to use a 4x4 foot backdrop, and that was great until I had to do longer inseams and trench coats and dresses and things like that. However, with the 5x5, it absolutely works perfect for no matter what type of clothing you're using. This thing right here is going to be the perfect area to take about 98% of your clothing inventory pictures. The longer inseams are going to fit perfectly. Your men's jeans, your women's jeans, your long trench coats, your robes, your dresses, everything like that is going to be super easy to picture on this 5 foot by 5 foot backdrop. This little shelf along the bottom of my board is easily one of my favorite additions. I actually just took a piece of leftover flooring, stripped it in half, and that's what the actual board is itself. It's actually just sitting on 3 of these L brackets mounted up underneath. Obviously, you need a good yardstick or something like that for good measuring. Right here we have our running SKUs, so each one of these gets put on each piece of clothing in my inventory. These get put on each pair of shoes in my inventory. Pair of good scissors, electric fabric shaver. I actually use a metal chopstick to point out any flaws in the fabric, as well as a good Sharpie, as well as a handy dandy lint roller. So if you're also a reseller out there and you've been looking for new ways to streamline the process of taking pictures overall, I would highly recommend a backdrop like this one right here. All the materials that we bought were actually under $100, which I could not believe. Absolutely love this thing, and it's going to be a game changer when it comes to taking pictures efficiently as well as in a timely manner. If you're interested in this backdrop right here and you want to see this thing in use day in and day out, follow me along so I can show you more parts of my reselling business.